The front door of the grand stone mansion burst open just as a porcelain vase shattered across the marble floor, and the sound echoed through the silent halls like a cry for help. The housekeeper stood frozen with tears in her eyes, while a young pregnant woman struggled to lift herself from the cold floor, one trembling hand wrapped protectively around her unborn child. Standing only a few steps away, the elegant woman who ruled the estate wore an expression completely untouched by remorse. At that very moment, the husband who had been away on an unexpected business trip walked inside carrying flowers meant for his wife, only to discover a heartbreaking truth that would change his family forever. Before this emotional journey continues, if you believe kindness is stronger than cruelty, forgiveness is more powerful than revenge, hope can heal even the deepest wounds, and everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a thoughtful comment, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and subscribe to our channel so you can continue growing with our community. Garrett Whitmore had spent the previous 3 weeks visiting several cities to secure a business partnership that he believed would finally allow him to spend more time at home with his family. Throughout every meeting, every flight, and every hotel stay, he had carried only one dream in his heart. He wanted to return home before the birth of his first child and become the husband and father he had always promised to be. His wife, Elara Whitmore, had insisted that he should not cancel the trip because the future of the company depended on it. She smiled every time they spoke over the phone, telling him she was comfortable, happy, and enjoying quiet afternoons in the mansion with his mother. Garrett believed every word because he trusted the two women he loved most. He never imagined that one of them had become the reason the other silently cried every afternoon. Elara had grown up in a modest countryside home where love mattered far more than money. Her parents had taught her that respect could never be purchased and kindness never lost its value. When she married Garrett, she entered a world filled with wealth, social expectations, and endless traditions that often felt unfamiliar. Although Garrett always treated her with tenderness, his mother, Vivian Whitmore, had never accepted the marriage. She believed her son deserved someone from a wealthy and influential family, someone who understood high society without needing to learn it. To Vivian, Elara represented everything she feared would weaken the Whitmore legacy. Instead of seeing a caring young woman carrying her grandchild, she saw an outsider who had taken the place she believed someone else deserved. At first, Vivian disguised her disappointment with polite smiles and subtle criticism. She corrected the way Elara arranged flowers, criticized her clothing, questioned her education, and dismissed every effort she made to become part of the family. Garrett noticed occasional tension, but whenever he asked about it, both women reassured him that everything was fine. Elara did not want to burden her husband with unnecessary conflict during the most demanding period of his career. She convinced herself that patience and compassion would eventually soften Vivian's heart. Instead, the cruelty slowly deepened. Vivian ordered the household staff not to assist Elara unless specifically instructed. She expected the pregnant woman to climb the grand staircase several times each day, polish family heirlooms, organize formal luncheon tables, and oversee countless household duties that exhausted her body. Whenever the staff quietly tried to help, Vivian reminded them that they answered to her. Many obeyed with heavy hearts, knowing they were watching someone gentle suffer without deserving any of it. Elara's growing pregnancy made even simple movements painful. Her back ached, her feet swelled, and every doctor had advised her to rest whenever possible. She hid those medical recommendations because she feared Vivian would only accuse her of being weak. Instead, she smiled through the discomfort, hoping every difficult day brought her one step closer to holding her baby safely in her arms. Garrett called almost every afternoon. Vivian often remained close enough to hear the conversations, and Alara refused to tell him the truth while his mother watched. She spoke cheerfully, describing sunny gardens, warm weather, and peaceful mornings, leaving Garrett completely unaware that moments earlier she had often been crying alone inside the greenhouse or sitting quietly on a garden bench, trying to calm the baby after another stressful confrontation. The mansion itself seemed to notice the sadness growing within its walls. The cheerful atmosphere that Garrett had worked so hard to create slowly disappeared. The staff whispered among themselves, wondering how much longer Alara could endure the emotional pressure. Even the longtime gardener noticed she spent less time admiring the blooming roses and more time staring silently into the distance with tears resting in her eyes. Everything reached its breaking point on the afternoon Garrett unexpectedly returned home one day earlier than planned. He had decided not to announce his arrival because he wanted to surprise Alara with lunch in the garden. Fresh flowers rested in one hand while a tiny pair of baby shoes, purchased during his trip, remained carefully wrapped inside his travel bag. His heart overflowed with excitement as he imagined seeing his wife smile. Instead, he heard shouting before he even reached the front entrance. Vivian's voice echoed through the mansion with icy anger. She accused Alara of embarrassing the family after accidentally dropping a serving tray while feeling dizzy. The tray had slipped because her hands were shaking from exhaustion. Before Alara could steady herself, Vivian forcefully pushed the tray away, causing the heavy porcelain vase nearby to crash onto the marble floor. Startled by the noise and struggling to maintain her balance, Alara stumbled and collapsed onto her knees. That was the exact moment Garrett stepped inside. The flowers slipped from his hands as he rushed across the room. He barely noticed the shattered glass beneath his shoes. His entire world narrowed to the sight of his pregnant wife trying to protect her unborn child while fighting back tears she had hidden for weeks. He carefully helped Alara stand and immediately noticed bruises along her forearm that she had concealed beneath long sleeves. His voice trembled as he asked what had happened, but before Alara could answer, one of the elderly housekeepers quietly began crying. Years of loyal service had taught her when silence protected peace, but this moment demanded honesty. With remarkable courage, she revealed everything. She described the endless criticism, impossible chores, withheld assistance, insults delivered daily, hidden medical appointments, and countless afternoons when Alara had been left alone despite needing care. One by one, other staff members confirmed every painful detail. No one exaggerated. They simply shared the truth they had witnessed with guilty hearts. Garrett felt as though every word shattered another piece of the trust he had carried his entire life. He slowly looked toward his mother. For the first time, Vivian realized her authority could no longer shield her from the consequences of her actions. She attempted to defend herself by insisting she had merely been teaching discipline and preparing Alara for the responsibilities of the Whitmore family. Yet even as she spoke, the excuses sounded empty within the silent room. Garrett did not raise his voice. His disappointment carried far greater weight than anger ever could. He told his mother that true strength never required humiliating someone weaker. Family honor could never be built upon another person's suffering. Wealth meant nothing if compassion disappeared from the home it was meant to protect. He admitted that while he had worked tirelessly to provide for his family, he had failed in an equally important responsibility by not recognizing his wife's silent pain. Those words struck Alara more deeply than anyone realized because, despite everything she had endured, she had never wanted Garrett to blame himself. The doctor examined Alara later that afternoon and confirmed that although she was physically exhausted and emotionally distressed, the baby remained healthy. Garrett stayed beside her throughout every moment of the examination, refusing to leave her side even briefly. As he held her hand, he quietly promised that she would never again face hardship alone. During the following days, sunlight filled the mansion in a way it had not for months. Garrett rearranged his entire schedule, placing family before business. Professional caregivers were hired to assist Alara whenever needed, and the staff finally felt free to offer the kindness they had wanted to show all along. Laughter gradually returned to the gardens, where Alara once again enjoyed peaceful afternoons surrounded by blooming flowers instead of fear. Vivian found herself walking through enormous rooms that suddenly felt painfully empty. The authority she had fiercely protected no longer brought satisfaction. Every polished mirror reflected a woman who had mistaken control for love. She noticed the staff speaking warmly with Alara and realized that genuine respect had never been something she could command. It could only be earned. One bright afternoon, she quietly entered the family chapel on the estate grounds. Sunlight streamed through colorful stained glass windows, covering the floor with gentle colors. Sitting alone in complete silence, she finally allowed herself to remember her own youth. She recalled being a young bride who had once struggled to earn acceptance from her husband's relatives. Somewhere along the years, she had forgotten how painful rejection truly felt. The memory broke something inside her heart that pride had hidden for decades. Vivian spent several days reflecting before asking Garrett if she could speak privately with Alara. Garrett agreed only after ensuring Alara felt completely comfortable making her own decision. When they finally met, Vivian no longer appeared like the commanding woman who had ruled the mansion. She looked like someone carrying the unbearable weight of regret. Without searching for excuses, she admitted every mistake she had made. She confessed that jealousy, fear of losing influence, and unhealthy expectations had blinded her to the goodness standing before her all along. She acknowledged that Alara had shown far more grace than she herself deserved. Alara listened quietly while resting both hands upon her growing belly. She understood that forgiveness did not erase painful memories, nor did it instantly restore broken trust. But she also knew that bitterness would become another inheritance passed to the child she carried if she refused to let healing begin. With gentle honesty, she accepted Vivian's apology while explaining that rebuilding their relationship would require patience, consistent kindness, and time. Forgiveness, she said, was not forgetting the past. It was choosing not to allow the past to destroy the future. Those words transformed everyone present. Vivian began changing through daily actions rather than promises. She attended medical appointments with genuine concern, prepared healthy meals alongside the kitchen staff, spent afternoons reading parenting books, and quietly supported Alara without expecting praise. Weeks passed, and every small act slowly rebuilt the bridge she had once burned. When the baby was finally welcomed into the world during a beautiful sunny afternoon, the entire family gathered with hearts overflowing with gratitude. Garrett held his tiny child while tears filled his eyes, realizing that the greatest success of his life had nothing to do with business or wealth. It was the family standing together around him, stronger because they had faced painful truths instead of hiding from them. Vivian gently held her grandchild with trembling hands, silently promising that the cycle of judgment ended with her. She hoped the little one would grow up remembering a grandmother who learned that love always speaks louder than pride. The mansion itself no longer felt like a place built merely from stone and luxury. It had become a home restored by honesty, humility, compassion, and courage. Visitors often admired its beautiful gardens, elegant halls, and impressive architecture, but those who truly knew the family understood that its greatest treasure was invisible. It was the lesson that hearts can change when people choose truth over appearances and forgiveness over resentment. Before this story comes to its close, please leave a meaningful comment sharing what touched your heart the most. Do you believe people who sincerely repent deserve a second chance, or do you think some wounds can never fully heal? Your thoughts may encourage someone reading them today. Garrett never forgot the afternoon he walked through those front doors carrying flowers, believing he was returning to a peaceful home. Those flowers had fallen onto the marble floor, but something far more valuable had risen from that painful moment. Truth had replaced silence. Compassion had overcome cruelty. A family that nearly fell apart had discovered that real love requires courage, accountability, and forgiveness every single day. Ilara never allowed suffering to harden her heart. Garrett learned that protecting the people we love is life's greatest responsibility, and Vivian proved that even a lifetime of pride can be transformed by sincere repentance. Their story became a reminder that homes are never defined by their size or wealth but by the kindness shared within their walls. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. May this story remind you that compassion can heal what anger destroys, forgiveness can rebuild what pride breaks, and hope always finds a way into hearts willing to change.